I think at this point, a lot of people would be surprised to learn the fact that Charles Oliveira is my favorite fighter in the UFC. Charles and I, honestly, I have known him, I've met him, and I have been able to cultivate a relationship with him over the past few years. And I think that's a very unknown fact about me. And I think that, again, it's personal, but when I had first met Charles Oliveira, I was at a point in my life where I just didn't see the point of it all. I think that it's very easy to get crushed, to get burdened under the weight, under the magnitude of what it means to be a human, right? And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with, and me included, but I think that Charles Oliveira is the one that taught me friendship. He taught me camaraderie. And for that, I'll always be grateful. I think that Charles is a light. I think he's a beacon in this dark, dark universe that we live in. And I think that I want to protect Charles Oliveira at all costs. So imagine my fucking heart palpitations when I heard that Ilia Topuria wants to move up and he wants to fight Charles next. That got me a little nervous. It did trigger, I don't want to sound dramatic, but it did cause a couple of full-blown panic attacks. And I'm okay, though. I'm all right. I've just been kind of drenching my brain in alcohol. You know what I mean? Whenever I start thinking about it, that's when I know I need to start putting some shit down. And, I think that helps. I think it kind of makes you feel numb to it all, which I think that's all you can really ask for in today's world, right? But look, I'll be honest with you. Yes, Ilia Topuria is a terrifying matchup. Ilia Topuria is shaping up to be a legend killer. And it's one thing to beat legends, it's another thing to fucking crack them. It's another thing to leave them lifeless on the ground. And I think that if he were to do that to Charles, I think that I would probably... I don't want to be over dramatic here, but I think I would jump off of a bridge. I think that I would probably, I don't know. I think at that point I want not even the quickest way out. I want probably the worst way out. I might jump into a wood chipper feet first because I just feel like that, at least the pain and the horror from that experience would kind of, again, numb me to the pain and horror of seeing Charles knocked out unconscious with Ilia Topuria parading around the octagon, But again, I don't think that this fight's a shoo-in. I don't. I actually think that Charles might stand a chance here. The scary thing about fighting Ilia Topuria is, essentially, you have to try to avoid his boxing. That is really what everything comes down to. The problem is, you have to do that over 25 minutes. You essentially have to be perfect. For example, I think that Max Holloway, what he does, the absolute elite skill in my mind that he brings to the table has always been his ability to roll with punches. That has always been Max Holloway's thing. You look at the Jose Aldo fight, it was the perfect example of this. Max is standing right in front of Aldo, but he's keeping the fight at his range and he's trying to land long shots. Well, when Aldo would slip the jab and try to explode into the pocket with punches, Max would roll with it, absorbing a lot of the brunt from the shot, and then he would immediately get right back onto the pressure. So, you look at him versus Ilia Topuria and you say, well, he should try to replicate this same thing. Keep the fight at his range. Make sure he's rolling with Ilia's punches. Try to make him miss. And as soon as he misses, put the pressure on him, get in his face, and try to land combinations. And again, he was doing a very good job at this rounds 1 and 2. Up until the one time he wasn't perfect. He didn't roll with the punch at all. Ate it full force, immediately got rocked, still was able to survive that shot, which is wild, but then immediately gets floored with a clean shot right on the chin. Right. Well, I think Charles Oliveira, of course, he also needs to try to find a way to avoid boxing, avoid the pocket. But I think that on paper, he needs to do this in a very different way than Max Holloway tried to. I think that legitimately Oliveira does have some tools and he does have some weapons that I think could actually help him a lot in this matchup. Of course, Oliveira's gonna be a decent amount taller. He's definitely longer, but he does not have the footwork or the ability to roll with punches like Max Holloway does. So trying to fight on the outside, I think, will never work against Ilia Topuria. I think Charles is going to get cracked trying to fight that way, and that's just not going to work. I think he needs to do the exact opposite. Of course, one thing I really did like from Oliveira against Michael Chandler most recently was his high guard was a lot tighter and a lot better than it had been in the past. When Oliveira fought Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier, he was very reckless. He wanted to get right in their face and just overwhelm them, which did leave him open to get cracked. Again, though, he didn't care about going to the ground with these guys, whether he was on top or bottom. It didn't matter to him, so he was willing to be a lot more reckless. But I don't think he wanted to be on the bottom against Michael Chandler. Now, obviously, based on their first fight, that was not a very productive position to be in for Charles, and this is something that I've discussed in the past in great detail, is the fact that Michael Chandler, and I think Arman Sarukian is another great example of this, these guys are buff hamsters. All right, they're very bulky, very compact. They don't have a lot of limbs to work with. They're very explosive. And that body type, it is so difficult to set offense off of your back against. It is so hard. So again, he wanted to avoid any opportunity to get rocked by Chandler. And therefore, what he was doing was he was keeping his high guard very tight. And when Chandler would step in trying to throw, Oliveira just did a good job hanging back a little bit, making sure he wasn't running into any punches. And I think against somebody like Ilia, this has got to be step one, and it's got to be a must. I want Oliveira immediately to take the center of the octagon, keep up a high, tight guard, very light on his lead leg, and we need a lot of teeps. And another tool he used against Chandler beautifully was the knee stomps. He was stomping on Chandler's knee a lot. It's a real nasty position. And it punishes guys for having a bladed stance. If you're standing square like a Thai fighter, the knee stomps, they just don't work the same way as when you're bladed. And Ilia is absolutely bladed. So this is what we need. We cannot have Ilia pressuring Oliveira backwards. Again, if you have elite footwork, if you have elite head movement, I guess you can try. It's still dangerous, but I guess you can try. But Oliveira just doesn't have that ability. So we have to avoid that at all costs. And the other tool he needs to use to prevent getting backed up is his teeps. Oliveira has really good teeps. And again, this is something we keep saying over and over again with Ilia. But, of course, on paper, when you're fighting a very boxing-heavy opponent, well, you want to be very kick-heavy, of course. Because kicks, they're very difficult to counter. At least they're a lot harder to counter than punches. But Ilia does such a good job protecting his head and his body all at once with his guard, and it really eliminates round kicks. But the straight kicks, the teeps, Max Holloway was using them pretty well against Ilia, and he himself was also using the knee stomps. And Ilia really didn't like it. I think that if I'm Charles Oliveira, I am trying to end Ilia's career. I am trying to do irreparable damage to his knee ligaments. It's the only way. I mean, we got to get fucking nasty and we got to get fucking ugly out there, okay? Because Ilia Topuria, again, he's so fucking dangerous. And the hard part about building a strategy against him is you have to be perfect. Again, right, Oliveira used his high guard very well against Chandler until he didn't. Round 5, Oliveira got rocked really bad because, as you see here, his lead hand is just down. His lead hand was down. He got caught with a hook first and then got caught with a straight shot right on the chin. I imagine it has something to do with the fact that Oliveira had been dominating that fight over 5 rounds, got a little too comfortable, and then he ends up getting rocked. So again, that is the scary thing. We have to be perfect here, but there's another key aspect of Oliveira's game that's very important here, is that we're not dealing with old school Oliveira, we're dealing with D1 Oliveira, okay? Charles Oliveira now knows how to wrestle, and he knows how to wrestle really fucking well. We go back to my favorite takedown he hit against Michael Chandler. Oliveira goes for a double leg. Michael Chandler literally thinks to himself in that moment, I was a Division I All-American wrestler. I know how to defend double legs. So he just simply hikes up one of Oliveira's arms, getting underhooks, which does kill the double leg. But who the fuck knew that Charles Oliveira can chain wrestle? He switches from a double to a knee tap. It's the perfect transition based on how Chandler was defending, puts him on his back, immediately mounts him, and we have ourselves a fucking fight here against Ilia Topuria. The strategy is perfect. The strategy is seamless. We need Charles. High guard, chin tucked, hands right over his eyeballs. He needs to take the fucking center of the octagon. He is not taking a step back. I need knee stomps. I need teeps, and I need a lot of takedowns. I want every single time Ilia tries to throw a punch, Charles just needs to wrap him up. He needs to fucking stuff him. Just shove him up against the fence, hold him there, try to take him down. Again, right? Ilia Topuria is going to be a bit smaller than Charles. Maybe weight-wise, they'll be similar. Maybe on fight night. But Oliveira has the bigger, longer frame. He just does, and he needs to utilize it. There cannot be any backing up. As soon as Oliveira is on the back foot, that is where Ilia gets very dangerous with the overhands. Ilia's overhands are fucking brutal. There's so much torque with them, and again, he's so good at timing the overhand off of your jabs. So I need a lot less boxing from Oliveira. Look, I guess you can throw a punch here or there every now and then, but we got to be fucking careful. Again, what we need to do is take this fight where we have an advantage. We need to try to hurt Ilia. We need to get fucking ugly and fucking nasty. We need to try to destroy this guy's knees. We need to be doing a lot of teeps, and I want grappling. We need D1 Oliveira to show up to this fight, and we need just to try to put it fucking on this guy. All right, that's what we need. We need to fucking put it on this guy, okay? I'm scared. All right, I'm sorry. I'm scared. I'm nervous. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I really hope this fight doesn't happen. Okay, I really hope this fight doesn't happen because I just think that Charles, again, it's a tough ask to be perfect over 25 minutes. It's a tough ask to not give Ilia any kind of look at your chin. Because if you give him a look at your chin, you're in fucking trouble. And I know that Ilia Topuria is a good grappler, but Charles Oliveira, he has better submissions. He's the best submission artist in the UFC. And again, we just gotta get fucking ugly out there, okay? That's what we need. And yeah, I'm scared, all right? You want me to fucking admit it? I'm having heart palpitations as we speak right now thinking about it, okay? But I'm telling you, Oliveira has a chance. He really does.